November 11, 1918. At 11 a.m., fighting ceased on the Western Front, and the whole world breathed a sigh of relief. The nightmare of World War I was finally over. The Germans signed an armistice at 5 a.m., and the ceasefire took effect 6 hours later. In cities all over the globe, ecstatic people celebrated the end of the bloody 5-year war. In March, the Germans had mustered all of their resources and manpower for one last all-out offensive on the Western Front. The Kaiser called it the decisive moment of the war, and at first, the Germans achieved some great results. General Ferdinand Foch was appointed commander of Allied armies on the Western Front. On June 30th, he launched a powerful counterattack, which pushed the Germans back. On November 3rd, Austria-Hungary surrendered. The empire that started the war by trying to annex the tiny nation of Serbia would soon itself be reduced to two small countries, Austria and Hungary. After that, the collapse of Germany was certain. Germany had run out of manpower, food, and supplies due to the Allied naval blockade. On November 9th, the Kaiser abdicated his throne and fled to neutral Holland. Germany surrendered. General Foch laid down the terms of the armistice. Germany was required to give up its heavy guns and aircraft, 5,000 trucks, 5,000 train engines, and 150,000 railroad cars. Their large warships and most of their U-boats were to be docked at Allied ports. German troops in Austria-Hungary, Romania, Turkey, and Russia were ordered to lay down their arms and return home at once, and any German-occupied territory west of the Rhine was to be evacuated. French troops moved in to occupy Strasbourg, while British and American troops began the occupation of Germany. Though its economy was left in ruins, Germany did not have to rebuild its cities like so many other European nations. The cost of the war was staggering. More than 10 million were killed, 21 million wounded, 7.5 million taken prisoner or missing in action. The total gross cost of the war was estimated at over $232 trillion. At a peace conference in Paris on June 28, 1919, the Treaty of Versailles was signed by 70 delegates representing 27 of the victorious countries. President Wilson succeeded in getting the delegates to create a League of Nations as part of the General Peace Treaty. Wilson was the first Allied leader to sign the treaty. Ironically, Wilson could not get the U.S. Senate to ratify the agreement. The U.S. would never join the League. The treaty imposed severe punishments on Germany, including enormous reparations to be paid, restrictions on its military, and the loss of considerable territory. Critics of the treaty warned it could cause serious resentment among the German people, which could lead to even bigger problems with Germany in the future. Nonetheless, the war was over and the Allies had won. The last shot of World War I was fired on November 11, 1918. Joyous citizens everywhere celebrated, and the world held new hope for lasting peace. Eventually, Armistice Day would evolve into the holiday Veterans Day, a time when Americans remember all of those who gave their lives in war.